I was raised, I forget how old you are, Amy, but I'm 55. I think you're like 36, 37, aren't you? Sorry if I got it wrong. Oh, I'm an Englishwoman. You mustn't say my age. I hate my age. This isn't about you. I just went off on a tangent. To me, pretty attractive is a white blonde woman with blue eyes. You know, because that's what we were sold and sold and sold. It isn't. Don't get me wrong. But the fact is, it's done a little bit of damage because in order to me to kind of remove that as being the root of beauty, I went negative on it. It's right, it's still in me. If I see blonde women, I immediately think that they're doing this, and I'm like, yeah, I don't even give them a second look. And not all of them, I must admit, because when I started re-educating myself, I was 28 years old, and I said I'm never going to go out with a blonde, and I just avoided them, and I fell in love with this woman. I mean, it's the longest relationship I've had in my life. She was blonde. Everything about her broke the mould, not just the blondness. Yeah. Hello, Becky. oh. But you could have kept your top on. That was the bit that worried me most. Oh. So, Amy, what do you think about it? The animal instinct. Right, you're talking about the pretty people. I guess it was gets people played, but absolutely as well. But that's because they attract people. But for me, this is just another thesis of mine. Because they haven't developed, I believe, in whatever aspect you see it, because everything's just about how they look, then they become easy targets. I see a lot of really sad, pretty boys and girls, to be honest. They've been used and abused, basically. Everyone gives them attention. Everyone wants a piece of them. People want sex with them. People want this and that from them. And these people feel used after a while. And I'm talking from my experience. I can't speak for everyone, but these are the kind of people that I talk to who have problems. I'm like, why are you so pretty? How come you have problems? And it's like, because you maybe not have worked on developing your character. You've developed your look, and everything that's come to you and everything that you've put out there has been about how you look. Even if it's a person who's not pretty in the classical sense, people who put themselves out based just on something intangible, which has no real intrinsic value, I think they're just heading for trouble, Sorry, Becky, that's the first comment I see if nothing moves up. So I'm sorry, back to Rianne, this is what I was going. Is pride linked to how you view other people, though, also? If you have a high sense of pride, is it just expected in others? Creates superiority complexes and so unravels all sorts of pettiness. It can do, but once again, I think that if you study about the ego, superego, just study yourself. Not even those things. I'm just talking about those because that was the show. If you try and understand who you are in relation to others, like I joke often and say, look, know your role, know your position. And I got that from my nephew, actually, when he was very young. He said it one day. I thought it was quite funny, know your role. And it stuck with me. So I just say, if you see your position, like me, I don't feel insignificant or unworthy. But I'm like, as soon as I step out of where I know my role is, and some people tell me I should aim higher and stuff like that, then I'm just like, well, who do I think I am? Do you know what I mean? So if you start looking at yourself and who you are, it's very difficult to develop a superiority complex. We all get it, we've all done it, especially us of older thinking, discerning age and stuff like that, where you just think, Christ almighty, some people, I wish people would just, be more like me, or whatever, and we hold ourselves higher. Oh God, well, some people just don't read, but at least I read books, at least I've read the classics or something like that, and it's quite easy to do that. But I think if you've talked with me at any length and we talk about stuff like that, the classic schmassics, what's all the fuss about? If you're any imperialist, any large country that holds so much landmass in the world keeps selling their ideals, people are going to think they're the best, and I don't hold that against them. That's just the way it is, So Shakespeare, so what? If you're English, if it's your language, if you've been told it's the best language. Oh, did you know you invented all these words? So what? Everyone's invented words. Everyone in other countries, everyone from other cultures, and everyone in tiny groups, even amongst your friends, you've got some words that you've invented. And it's like, we need to put so much importance on these single figures. And what we do, I think it creates pressure in groups. You're in the kitchen at a party, as you do, and it's like, have you read yes, I've read Shakespeare. And the people who claim to read those things, okay, you've done a little project on it at school, but you've never really sat there and read and understood Shakespeare. And I only read 2 Shakespeares, books just so that I could argue with people many years ago. Because, oh yes, and have you read any? Oh yes, I've read Shakespeare. Have you read Shakespeare? What does that even mean? All of his works? Some of his works? Which works of his? What do you think about those works? It's not about the books and reading them. It's about status. That's what superiority complexes are. You know, it's like, I've read Shakespeare, okay, and what else? What other crap are you going to tell me today, you know? And oh, yes, I've been to Thailand, and it's a tone. It's not like, oh, yeah, I was in Thailand, it was cool, and talk about what they did there. Oh, yeah, I've done Thailand. In fact, the word they use is done. I talked about this before, about conquest. Oh, yeah, I've done Thailand. Yeah, done Shakespeare. Done, and it's that kind of like, yeah, done, and done. Those are superiority people, and this is why I have a go at them. Each to their own. They can be superior and act superior if they want, actually. That's the bottom line. But typically, it's about saying, how are we going to fix ourselves if these are the things we aspire to? Right, sorry, more comments are there. Sorry, Becky, your comments. Every time I scroll up, they're just like on eye level. That's what I'm 36, 37, give or take 10 years. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that, Amy. Vulnerable people haven't got a natural sense of pride. Vulnerable people, what's a vulnerable person? You know, define it. And I don't know, I think you may classify yourself as one for reasons. Vulnerable people, we talked about victims yesterday. And once again, we're all different. In its truest sense, yeah, there are vulnerable people, I will agree. But once again, these are modern terms, these are modern, what I keep saying, communicable internet illnesses. You know, people looking for a reason, people looking for an out, you know. Is that, you spelled that word wrong. Oh, I'm dyslexic. It's like, no, you're not. You write every day on Facebook. I see how you write. You're not dyslexic. You have no signs of dyslexia. And you've spelled one word wrong. I've pointed it out. Now you're claiming that you're ill. Not that it's an illness, you know. Or, you know, Christ almighty, why don't you just pipe down? You say to someone, you're always, oh yeah, I'm ADHD. No, you're not. You're just being active right now. And every now and then you're quite active. And it's annoying. But because you can't handle the criticism, you're going to pretend you've got an illness, you know. And just straightening things up. My desk at the moment, it's like everything's in disarray. I like it, but every now and then I just straighten things up and think, look, I like a bit of order. That aesthetic pleasure of seeing, you know, not symmetry, but just things balanced nice against each other. Feng shui, if you will. I don't know if it's that, but you know, you say to someone, well, yeah, a house is a bit ordered. You should just chill a bit, man. It's like, you know, relax. Oh no, I'm OCD, and it's like, wow. As soon as you know, give someone not a criticism, something that they don't want to take on board, then they're ill. And vulnerability, a lot of the time, it's a strong term, and I'm not trying to put down, you know, anyone who's been classed as someone else has told them they're vulnerable, who is vulnerable. But for those people who, you know, adopt it because they're just not. They can't be bothered to develop their confidence. I'm not a confident person, so I work on it. You don't have to be confident, by the way, but if you're going to just keep hiding behind it, or you think it's detrimental because it affects you applying for jobs, going to work, if it affects you communicating with people, I don't see why you don't work on it. You learned to speak, didn't you? You got vocabulary because you thought, you know, I need to communicate with people. You got some basic maths behind you, or advanced maths, and you put on pretty clothes when you go to a bar, so you can fit in to that surroundings. And it's like, why don't you put some work and some money, even if you have to buy a book, on learning to be more confident? And once you've done that, and I know you don't get everything from a book, but you seem to put so much effort, people, into pleasure, that once again, that instant gratification. I'm going to go out tonight, get fucked, I'm going to buy a new dress, or, you know, guys with new trousers and shoes, and just so that I can fit in and be part of the crowd. But I'm not going to put no effort into developing, once again, who I am. It's all about looking good. And for every time I fall over, because I'm not trying hard enough, I'm just going to say I'm vulnerable. And vulnerability, it's not just that. I know there's more to it, but I'm trying to express some of the root ideas behind what I see as failings in people for OCD, ADHD, vulnerability, you know, whatever it is. And we talked about this yesterday, Chris Paradox and myself, you know, like with racism, you know, people are like, oh, fucking old world, shit, man, people are racist. And so, yeah, we know that, that's a fact. But how is it stopping you from getting a job? oh yeah, you go in and they tell you stories of things that are not even around them, that have not experienced yet. Yeah, do you hear about that guy who went to get a job? Turns out those companies are hiring like 60% more white people than black people. It's like, but they are hiring black people, so why don't you go and get a job there if you want to? You know, don't blame it on everyone. Work shit even for an all-white environment or all-black environment, because you've got all the politics. They don't like. They talk about the large fat woman behind her back. They talk about Debbie Spots. They talk about Mark being a braggart and so on. And it's just that way. And they talk about you because you're black. So just go and work with them, but you're going to find a little group of friends there, and that's all you want. You don't want everyone at work to have to like you, especially for that, because you're black. Like me because I'm black. It's like, fuck that, you're not going to like me, some of you. But one thing I will say, whether you're the fat person, the black person, the gay person, the person that they don't like, be brave, be strong, be confident, work amongst the people that don't like you, unless it's too overwhelming. But if they stand in your path, fight them, hurt them, use physical violence. Go on, you've only got one life. No point like always pandering to people's needs and, being a victim. Smash them sometimes, smash them with a bottle, stick a knife in their head, butt them. Sorry, I said that purely because I wanted to get a reaction. Well, there's some truth in there. Right, Rianne. Yeah, autism and so on, but these are all preventative measures as well. Autism's increased so much recently that there has to be something behind it. Humans don't just suddenly develop this, right, and people are more autistic now, and then it turns out, right, there's drugs and vaccinations and so on, which are all been named and proven to be causes or the increase, and no one's really talking about them. See, now the issue I have with that, Rianne, not with you here saying it, but when people say things like, oh, but people have these traits which are outside of the norm, we have to start treating them as the norm. And that really does help people to heal. When you realise that you've got a stutter, for instance, and you're around most people who don't have a stutter all the time, but then you meet someone with a stutter, and what's it like? Oh yeah, I have this same problem as you, and then you can share the stories and you talk about it, and you talk about how people treat you negatively, then you talk about the funny stories and the positive, because now you found someone like you. And if everyone just treated you as normal, then, a lot of those issues go away. And, that's a simple solution if only everyone treated you like normal. But for us to grow and be strong, we have to imagine everyone's treating us like normal, which is unfortunate, which means hard work on our behalf. And only react when we get something negative come at us, rather than saying, oh, everyone's shit, everyone's racist, everyone's sexist, and then treating everyone as, sometimes you just think, right, and this is easier for me to say just because I like fighting people who, or used to, keep stepping up with nonsense and they want to get physical. Even if they can beat me, just fight them anyway, it's an inconvenience. But what I'm saying is, people have to work at being stronger, that's all, and stop being a victim, and then that way, you can have a more fulfilling life. There's nothing like walking into a place where people supposedly don't like people like you, but okay, you're kind of at least free from you don't have any fear of violence happening. It could be a workplace, it could be like a safe kind of bar that you go to, or any environment. So go to those places anyway, and be yourself, and it will rile the people who don't like you. But they'll either come get used to you. Some people scowl when you walk into some places, and they see you there 10, 20 times, and what's the point? They have to resolve those issues themselves, and in the end, they're kind of just used to it. And you can walk into those environments, and it feels much different to what it did when you first went in there. Headbutt. You've gone up a line, Becky. Vaccines don't cause autism. Give me the proof. And as I said, that was a throwaway statement. As I said, I say to people, I don't say, when people say, prove it and so on, I don't expect, it's very hard to prove stuff. But, there's no clear evidence. Once again, it's just a belief thing, because I've read so much saying that vaccines cause autism and so much saying that they don't, and it's just like, who to believe? And I'm like, oh, there's another problem in the world, you know. If you've got kids, vaccinate them. Quietly removing your superstar label. And you're going to have the tattoo covered over as well. Superstar written down your arm. Like that. Yeah, stop taking criticism so personally. You know, it is hard, but for most people, because they've not trained themselves. This is all about learning. This is the key of what I'm talking about today. So, you know, if someone criticises you, stop and listen to what they have to say. Sometimes look them straight in the eye if you think they're going to be quite tough with you, because then they realise that they don't have to go so hard to get across to you. Because sometimes when we want to say something to somebody, we say it with a bit more force, because we believe that's going to make it go in. So look that person in the eye, let them know that they're talking directly to you, and they tend to soften their approach. And just listen. Don't wait to jump on them. Don't wait to respond. In fact, don't even respond. Take it all in, walk away, and don't come back for a while. And I mean a while. It could be the next day, could be a couple of days, you know, an hour, let an hour pass. Think and think and think on it. And what will happen is you develop a response to them. And often if you don't react straight away, if you're not reactionary, then you find that your response is much different to what you would have said in the first place. The difference being like, let me give you an example. Becky, okay, I'm going to come to Becky on that one. So, you know, Cedric, you know, like, well, change your top before I go, man. It's got, like, that's dirty. Like, it's smelling a bit. You've been fucking, you know, running around the house. I'm like, fuck off, you cunt. Sorry, I'm getting rowdy now. That would be my first response, and I wouldn't. This isn't purely for example. Or I'm like, just take it in, walk away. He's right. You know, she's right. Yeah. I should change this up, really. All day now, like, we're thinking about going out. Jesus Christ, yeah, okay, yeah. That was a tough one to swallow. But that's the only truth in the room at the moment. And so if I start fighting against it, I've not achieved nothing. And then, you know, that person's respected them for letting me know. I think sometimes the delivery is important. You know, I think women do it as equally as men and women with women, men with men. Like, fucking hell, mate, you know, and leave it at that. But not everyone can take that kind of criticism. So, you know, be nice with people. And if someone's criticising you, look them in the eye, and they'll nearly always, you know, turn down the strength on what they're about to say to you. And Becky says, as a mother of three, yeah, the olfactory is a massive, scary subject. See, this is what I mean. It is a scary thing. So, you know, no one knows. It depends what you've read as well, and it depends where it's all coming from. And as I said, I'm a researcher. I do a lot of stuff, and for me, it's like, okay, I've heard so much that the vaccines don't cause autism, but then I've also heard that men have gone to the moon, and it's just like, okay, there's this big machine at bay. And I read a paper recently, a lot of papers to deliver. I talked about the peer pressure around science, and how so much of science is falsified, and how scientists take money from big companies, and so therefore they're the papers that get published and so on. This is the science that people love and have so much faith in. A lot of it's nonsense. So, and people go, yeah, but what about this? And I say, yes, there's some good that comes out of it. I know that. But what I'm talking about, the fact is there's a hell of it. A lot of it's nonsense and theories and ideas and silly ideas. And we put forward the ones that where the money is. And with the autism, just a little bit suspicious there as well. You know, you've got Big Pharma, again, claiming that things are not what they seem. And there's a very strong school of clever people who are still holding on to the idea that they can cause autism. And I think it did dwindle. I did notice that, because I was listening to the voice of the people at first, and it was like, oh, it does, it doesn't, it does, it doesn't. And then I listened to some of the science behind it, and these people say, no, well, it doesn't, and they're giving proof. And these ones saying, well, you know, it does still, because, and then others saying, well, no, autism you can't catch, you can't, you know, get it from this. And don't forget, if it makes sense to you, then you're going to believe it. And then 20 years down the line, someone's going to be maybe proven to be right or not. Okay, so reality is not to be so easily offended by everything. Yeah, once again, Rian, as I say to a lot of people, those are words. You have to believe in them. It's like, just don't be offended by everything. And you're right. You're 100% right. But the words are easier than actions. I'm doing a show on Sunday. I'll be talking about the Facebook effect of people just posting those feel good, like positive things, and none of them are living by it. They keep posting this positive stuff. It's almost like they're all hypnotising themselves. And I think it's evident that people who keep on posting stuff like that, that's what they need and that's what they want. Even me, And you have to learn to remove yourself from it. And I'm not saying that, I have and no one else has. Some people have. I know them, or I've seen them. Or you can tell just by the rest of their posts. The rest of posts are normal life. And then they've suddenly got this like, it's better to love even your enemies, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's cool. But the damaged people, they've got nothing else on their wall but, people who, and it's just like inundated with it. And it's like, what are you selling? And I'm not saying that's true of everyone who does that, but it's definitely a pattern in there, And so as Becky says, what other people think of you is not your business. And that is so key, Becky. It's really important. That. And I know that Becky believes this. I know Becky in person. And she's just the way she holds herself, And it's not like, oh, look at me or nothing. It's just this mad kind of confidence. And even if it's not 100% confidence in life, like myself, we act differently around different people. You know how to be confident around a whole group of 100 or 1,000 strangers. You know what I mean? And I know that you believe in that. So I would say, look, it doesn't matter what people say behind that. People are going to talk about you when you're not in the room, and it's not always going to be positive. So, just forget about that. Oh, you would say you was talking about but behind my back. That is such a stupid concept. I don't know why humans hold on to that. Someone was talking about me behind my back. It's like, of course they was. They always talk about you. Let me just turn that off. And they're not always gonna. They're not always gonna say something nice about you because you're not always a nice person. And even if they were wrong about you, then they just made a mistake. That's all. But there's nothing to fight about. You are a bit of a bitch sometimes. Of course, they're gonna talk about it when you're not in the room. You are a bit aggressive sometimes, and someone's going to talk about you when you're not in the room. And when people talk about me, I developed a saying, maybe in my late 30s, I have to say, look, my name's bigger than I am. Sometimes my name hits the room before I enter it, sort of thing. And it's not all going to be positive. Some people just don't like you. You get up in the morning, you're confident, you walk around, and some people are like, wow, that guy's really confident, and they like you for it, and they're proud of you, and they, would like to take a little piece of that from you. And the next person's just like, who does he think he is? What an ego, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, hey, as long as no one's going to fight me, I am happy that you've all got an opinion. Hello, Beth. So, Becky said that should always make sure you're eye to eye. Also being at different levels, sets are not dynamic. Yeah, that eye to eye, this is what I mean once again about staring someone in the eye. That's about looking in the eye. And this level, as I said, to me, it's an idea because you can see eye to someone who's much taller or smaller than you, and you don't physically have to come down to the level. I know that's not what you're saying, or I think that's not what you're saying. So it can set a dynamic because I joke a lot. I say to people, I'm getting a superiority complex here. If someone sat down and I'm talking to them and I'm looking down as they're talking, I do like to come down. So that's just a height thing more than the eyes, because as animals, it may be the animal instinct. Obviously, you don't want another animal to suddenly overpower you. And us as animals, we want that surety that we've got a level playing field. And then on a cerebral level, or psychological level, you want no eye contact, even though there's no fear of violence, just that you realise the other person is actually giving themselves to you as you are to them, and that's not height dependent. Those are meant to be eye beams, by the way. OBG.